Em Rusciano and Michael Lucas.
You have been warned, it is Giggle Fest 2020.
This is Emsolation.
Are you being discriminated against now because your name's Karen?
Like, a dickhead's a dickhead no matter what.
Mustimo went from zero to kidnap very quickly.
It's not socially acceptable to go out without your pants on. We've all accepted the fact that pants are necessary.
You're in Emsolation.
Yeah, well, I've booked a hotel out, bitch. Come at me. I've got big balls. Hello, welcome to Emsolation. How are you? How you feeling? Where you at? Have you eaten today? Have you had a drink? Do you need to get a better night's sleep? Have you gone out and moved? I'm just asking you questions I like to be asked. Hey, I just wanted to kind of talk about the unsung heroes of what's been going on in the world. And I did a little post about my 13-year-old daughter, Odie, yesterday. And I don't think kids are getting enough credit for how resilient they're being and how they're rolling with the punches. And can you imagine how scary it would be for a kid at the moment who has no concept that this will one day be over? You know, this is big and very all-consuming and what their little lives are revolving around. And especially now if you're in Melbourne, they're not going to school anymore. And also, my heart goes out to any parents of autistic kids who are very much reliant on their routines. I know a couple parents who are in a situation where it's very traumatic what's going on for their child, and you can't explain it in a way that soothes them. So, you know, there's a lot of kids out there that are finding it tough. So I guess what I wanted to ask you, and this applies to people who don't have kids, is maybe say well done to the kid in your life. It could be your nephew, your grandchild, your friend's kid, your own kid. Maybe do something nice for them, out of the ordinary. I don't know, ice cream for dinner. Send them balloons in the mail that when you open the box it pops out. Make them something special. Let them watch telly at a weird time. You know, just something, a surprise and delight for the kid in your life. I just think, you know, we just expect them to fold in a lot of the time, and I know that I've been guilty of that, of like, look, you know, this pandemic is happening to everyone and we just got to do it, but we kind of forget probably the deep psychological trauma that this is imparting on them, and then maybe they're hiding it, but maybe they're not. And I just think sometimes we forget because we love our kids so much, and in our minds, like, oh, that's enough. There's love. There's a roof over their head. But every now and then, and look, probably a lot of you are doing this, I think it's important to say to them, hey, you're doing a really great job, and this is a scary time for all of us, and I just wanted to let you know that I can see how hard you're working, and I know that you're missing your friends. And I think allowing them to put words to their emotions and then giving them something kind of special might be a nice way to let them know that you see them, and you know, this is about them as well as you. So yeah, it's just something I thought about. You know, I don't think kids are getting enough credit for how wonderful they're being, and just getting out of bed each day and rocking up, as you know, as an adult is tough, but also we're able to kind of intellectualize it and go, okay, well, hopefully in 40 days this is over. But remember when you're a kid, 40 days may as well be 40 years. Like tomorrow was ages away. And it must seem just like so weird and big and alien and what the hell is going on, and I can't go to school and I can't see my friends and I've got to wear a mask, and, you know, it's big scary stuff. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Today's episode, we'll see Michael and I discussing, surprise, surprise, Brett Sutton, but also Deputy Chief Health Officer Dr. Nick with the good hair, Nick Coatsworth. Oh, he came to my attention last week on the project. Goodness me, what is this? Are they only hiring attractive silver foxes? If so, I'm all for this hiring strategy. We talk about incredible Trump interview that's going around. An Australian reporter has just shot to fame in the States because he interviewed Trump as if it were one of us. Like, instead of maintaining any sort of professional facade, when Trump said something ridiculous, his entire body reacted, and he'd just be like, really? That's what your answer is? Like, he just gave zero fucks. It's quite refreshing. We talk about that. We talk about what's going on with Ellen. Oh, God. Things just keep going from bad to worse for Ellen. And also, because I've got you, a couple of TV show recommendations. Oh, the most wholesome viewing. I've got something for the whole family. All of you will sit down and shed a tear, but in a joy tear, a happy tear, because you know my favourite quote from Steel Magnolias. Laughter through tears is my favourite emotion. Dolly Parton, thank you. Very good Dolly Parton accent. For those of you who used to listen to the Em and Harley radio show, you'll remember that I did used to do a lot of Dolly Parton impersonating. Michael and I we want to come up with a few segments that I can write openers to, obviously, and sing the openers. So if you have any suggestions for segments that you'd like to hear us do, hello@mrustiano.com, or just send me a DM on Instagram, or send a DM to the Emsolation Instagram account. Always love your feedback, guys. All right, let's get into it. Look after yourself. I just want to keep saying that to the person, you right now, the person listening to this podcast. Look after yourself. Okay, play the music.
M. Rusciano and Michael Lucas. This is Emsolation.
Michael Lucas, hello.
Amelia Rusciano, hello.
I was just telling you off air how I'm scared to drive home from the project because I finish after curfew, and I'm worried. What happens? Like, am I going to get pulled over 50 times? Like, I've already requested a little letter from the project, like I'm asking my mum for a permission slip.
I'd be more worried about being caught on one of those cameras because we are in this time of absolute state pride about our empty roads. And if we see one vehicle on those roads, people will zoom in, they'll find the license plate.
Oh, God, don't. I can't be a Corona villain. I can't. Yeah, it's like the pictures were stirring. Dan Andrews posted all the major arterials in Melbourne at, what would normally be quite a busy time, and they were empty. And he just wrote, thank, full stop, you, full stop. So much emotion in 2 words. But I saw it. You sent it to me, and I saw it, and I felt so proud. I was like, Melbourne, good on you.
I know. And I do remember at the start of this whole thing, like 50 years ago when the pandemic started, I remember someone saying, we all go on about how creepy and apocalyptic the streets are, but when I look at the streets and there's no one on them, I just think, well, it's love. It's you're showing love to other humans. And I never felt it until that picture. And I thought, we were looking out for each other. We're looking out for each other. Yeah, we can
do this, guys. We can do it. 40 days to go. Come on, whoa. Let's turn it into a sporting thing. Sport. But yeah, you and I have been discussing Dan Andrews a lot via text message because, it's very complicated.
It's very complicated and also strangely intimate. Not that he's aware of that.
No. I mean, he does follow me on Twitter, don't forget. So, we are kind of friends. Yeah. Well, his person follows me on Twitter, but I like to think it's Dan Andrews late at night tapping away on Twitter because he has so much time.
I think he does spend a bit of time online, I really reckon he does. His online game is very strong. I mean, that post last night, case in point.
Great. Oof. But I mean, we're obviously the hotel inquiry is upon us, and a lot of questions are being asked, but not necessarily answered.
Oh no!
And I think I'm kind of frightened to say anything about it, Dan Andrews, because I don't think it matters anything that he's done that's good. Prior to this, if this turns out to be as big a clusterfuck as we think it's going to be, I think he's in real trouble.
Oh, Danny. I don't know. People are still trenchantly support him, though. They really do. But, I mean, I suppose it's the ultimate test. If we get to the end of this inquiry and we find out, you know what, they can trace all of this back to that security guard situation, and it's worse if someone says, and you know what, they were warned, they were told this is not happening and they overlooked it, then that, it's going to be pretty hard. It
is, but also on the other hand is that he's governing, he's leading, he's being decisive, he's not being political. But then part of me wonders if he knows this is his last hurrah. So, when footy players announce their retirements, then they have the game of their life the next match.
Yeah.
Because all the pressure's off them. I don't know if maybe Dan's going in hard now because he knows maybe he's going to be done after this and he wants to leave he wants to leave a legacy of having fixed the fuck up. I mean, maybe I'm reading too deep into it. There is a Facebook group it's a virtual hug for Dan Andrews.
I saw that. Oh, God, it's got like hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of my friends from interstate. They're just reaching across to do a bit of a hug.
Yeah.
But I do feel, though, that we're only 2 days in, so I probably shouldn't characterise this whole second lockdown because we've got a hell of a long way to go. I mean, I'm sure it'll be psychotic in about a week. Yeah. But I kind of feel I feel like it's going to work. And am I basing that on one social media post that Dan Andrews did? Yes, I am. But nonetheless, I'm maybe confident that it's going to work. And then if it does work, I feel like there will be this extra level of pride. And I can imagine that in years to come, when people are talking about the pandemic, Victorians are going to be like, oh, you're talking about, were you in Victoria? Oh, you didn't really go through the pandemic. Sorry.
No, you did it. You went through the soft one.
We're going to turn it around from being like we're the poxy state to we're the fucking tough state. And,
we already have.
Yeah, sure.
But I've already read posts people like, yeah, this was sent to Victoria because we can handle it. Like, I've already read people building that idea up that, that somehow the corona gods chose Victoria because we had the fortitude to stick to a second lockdown. Like, that is some pretty great logic as far as I'm concerned.
And it would also kind of feed into the forgiving Dan Andrews because it's like, yeah, you know what? Did the government fuck up and we got a whole second wave? Of course it is, but we're bigger than that. Yeah, no worries. We'll sort it. We'll just lock ourselves down. We've got it.
Shit. I'm very complicated about Dan Andrews, and prior to the hotel situation, I would unequivocally say to you, fan of Dan Andrews, think he has done a great job with our state. He truly does govern and lead. He doesn't get busy with the political bullshit side too much. He just plows forward with improvements. And that's what I would have said before this. But now there's so many people affected and angry and dead. Like, so many people have passed away and it can be directly linked back to this second wave. So it's just like, it's
yeah, but then again, I mean, there's also another part of me that thinks, you hire a firm to do security. You're going to imagine, He
really made, and I mean, even if it wasn't him and it probably wasn't Dan Andrews that signed the bottom of the check that said, sure, pay these guys, like the buck stops with him and he can't. Oh, God, it's so complicated.
Well, just as long as Brett Sutton emerges unscathed, I'm okay.
Well,
he should run for Premier. I mean, not that we have that system. You have to go into Parliament.
Yeah, it's not America.
No.
I would. Oh, who would I vote for on election day? Brett Sutton or Dan? Ooh, that would be really tearing me apart. But I mean, we were talking before. If you manage to get celebrity during the pandemic, during COVID, it's really kind of intensified because there's not much else going on.
Oh, totally. And people can really delve into your online social media. And I'm finding that people rise to fame so quickly and it's so intense. I mean, Brett Sutton, case in point, Jock Zonfrillo, Melissa. I mean, the true stars of the pandemic have been who were like, we didn't even know their names beforehand and now we're obsessed with them. Melissa really stands out to me, Leong. She could be Governor General now, I think.
She really could. Jock's on for. I mean, Jock, obviously. I feel like no pandemic, we would have noticed Jock, though, to be fair.
That's fair. That's fair. Brett Sutton, though, is completely reliant on the pandemic. And I've got another couple of stars in the past 24 hours. Well, no, one of them's been there the whole time. So Norman Swan on ABC.
The Corona Cast?
Yeah, which gets 80 gazillion downloads every single day. And that's where you should turn to if you want actual medical advice and not jizz jokes.
And it's really good. Like, it's a quick hit. It comes out every day and you get kind of the latest stats and information presented by Norman Swan, who has the most delicious accent. And it's so, like, soothing and jovial that you feel okay.
Oh, you totally do. Totally do. And he's also quite, I mean, I'm not saying Jock level, but he's also, I mean, this is an element of pandemic fame. I'm finding people sort of strangely attractive all the time, even Norman Swan. But what's blown my mind is that his son is a US political reporter and is now the toast of the entire world because he did a 45-minute interview with Donald Trump that just was released yesterday. And it is extraordinary because unlike any other reporter, he sits there reacting to Trump like we would at home, but he's doing it right in front of him. Like when Trump says something stupid, he scrunches up his face and goes, what? And for some reason, Trump doesn't walk out and it goes on and on and on. And basically it set America ablaze because they've never seen a reporter act like that in front of Trump and just hammer him with follow-up questions like he just doesn't care.
Let's listen to a bit now.
It's surely a relevant statistic to say if the US has X population and X percentage of death of that population versus South Korea.
No, go by the cases.
Well, look at South Korea, for example. 51 million population, 300 deaths. It's like, it's crazy compared to...
You don't know that.
I do. It's
you
on
don't know that. Here's one right here, United States. You take the number of cases.
Okay.
Now look, we're last, meaning we're first.
I don't know what we're first in. 1,000 Americans are dying a day, but I understand on cases it's different.
No, but you're not reporting it correctly, Jonathan.
I think I am, but...
We test more. Now take a look. The top one, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. The top, Jonathan.
If hospital rates were going down and deaths were going down, I'd say terrific. You deserve to be praised for testing, but they're all going up.
They very rarely talk...
60,000 Americans are in hospital.
If you watch the
1,000
news
dying
or
a
read
day.
the papers, they usually talk about new cases, new cases, new cases.
I'm talking about death.
Well, you look at
going
death.
up.
Death is way down from where it was.
It's 1,000 a
Death.
day. It was 2,500. It went down to 500. Now it's going up again.
Jonathan Swan, good for you. God, he is going to be a hit, but also he's now going to be, like, you know, the wave of first you're the toast and then he's going to experience the wave and then all the backlash is going to come. So he's going to go through all of that from all the Trump supporters and then the backlash will come. It is a very heady roller coaster, the Corona fame.
It is.
I have to tell you.
It's intense.
It's quick. You know who else has caught my eye? The Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Nick Coatsworth.
It was only a matter of time.
Nicky with the good hair, Nicky with the good hair. Nick has amazing hair. And I'm looking at young pictures of Nick. He's kind of got a Freddie Mercury jaw about him. And he's got an overbite, but it doesn't make me mad. He's very handsome. So
Look, he's very handsome. He's even more, in fact, considerably more conventionally handsome than Sutton. But see, my thing is, I feel like he's sort of slightly aware of it when he does his interviews. Whereas what I like about Brett Sutton and why I remain loyal to him is he seems genuinely oblivious to his own attractiveness. Have I thought about this too much? Yes, I have. Have I ordered the Brett Sutton bedspread? Maybe.
Yes,
but that's where you go with Corona fame.
Well, I was looking for a Brett Sutton anxiety blanket, but no one's made one yet. But that seems to me like a marriage made in heaven.
Oh, totally does. He is the human antidote to anxiety.
Would it be too far to find out what he weighs and make the weighted blanket his weight? Too far?
Maybe
Or
too
genius.
far. But it should also come with a little, it should have little recordings, little catchphrases that he says that play just to reassure you.
I would love an anxiety blanket that even if it was just my voice. Chin up, bitch. You'll be okay. Close your eyes now, doll. Off you go to sleep.
It would be, what does he say? It would be stuff like, the vast majority of Victorians are doing the right thing. Coupled with a bit of, we're not where we wanted to be.
Oh, God. Okay, I can't believe it's taking me this long to bring it up. Where did your mind go when you heard Brett Sutton had resigned? Has he resigned? What's going on?
It was the moment that stopped, if not a nation, then at least a state. And if not the entire state, then at least everyone in the state that is attracted to men. I went into a complete panic. You know, I sent you 18 texts. What
I know,
a roller
in capital
coaster.
letters. It was. Because first of all, I got Sutton has quit. And I was like, what is going on? And then you're like, no, he hasn't quit. And then, but he has. What's going on? But so officially now, haven't they said that he's just on leave until the 7th of August?
They have said that, yes. He's taking a break. For those of you who missed this whole thing, and it is possible that you probably missed it, because it was a hot 15 minutes. And by hot, I mean terrifying. There were unconfirmed reports bursting out that Brett Sutton had either quit or been sacked by Dan Andrews. And either way, it was terrifying, and it's a mark of our deep, deep attachment to Sutton that basically we went into pretty much panic mode.
But of course, you know, I don't know if you're aware of this fact about me, but I am a conspiracy theorist. And
Unfortunately, I am.
Straight away.
Where'd she go?
Well, straight away, I'm like, what does Sutton know? I feel like Dan and he are at odds. I'm worried. And I feel like maybe he said to Dan, look, we have to talk about this hotel stuff now. And like we had the highest numbers. So he was missing last Thursday.
Yeah.
When we had the highest numbers. Missing today, which was now beat last Thursday. And I just feel like, I don't know, or maybe they want to keep him kind of clean of the having to deliver the really terrible news, so they send out all the deputies when it's super bad. So if Sutton doesn't walk out at a presser, you know the numbers are bad. Like maybe it's that.
I just thought of it as he's worked through the whole weekend to prepare for this hyper stage 4 lockdown, and he hasn't had like 10 days off, and so they sort of said to him, just let's get that lockdown happening, couple of days in, you can have a rest. That's what I thought. I don't know, but I appreciate your conspiracy theories. And my other first thought was the only circumstances I would accept his resignation would be if he had been picked for the next season of The Bachelor and had to leave immediately to do that. And I went on Twitter to make that joke, and about 80 bazillion people had already made it.
Because we still haven't confirmed his marital status. Like, that is still a mystery. That's as big a mystery as if he's quit or not.
No, but
you know?
on the ABC News, I noticed one point. I mean, hats off to the ABC cameraman, because when he's delivering his speeches, they hone in on his wedding ring. So,
Oh, he's definitely married. Definitely married. Okay, cool.
We
cool,
don't
cool.
know male or female. You always laugh when I say that. I don't know. I think that your gaydar is much more acute than mine, ironically. But I don't know. I don't know. If someone came out and said Brett Sutton married to a man, I believe it. Or
I feel like your gaydar is more wishful thinking. All right. Well, we'll obviously keep everyone posted as best we can. We were very panicked today. It was an emotional roller coaster. I still feel like, and I want it marked down here, I want it marked that M. Rusciano on the Emsolation podcast said something stinks, something's fishy, the chicken's off.
Oh, I know.
Requires a second smell.
Something's going on between Dad and Daddy.
Dad and Daddy.
We just went to a really weird place. But something is. There's something amiss. And
I
also,
agree.
they've pushed back the date of the inquiry. It was September, now it's November. They've pushed it back. We're not going to find out what went down between them for a long, long time. Something's happening.
That inquiry has dug up some truly terrible things, and they don't want to release it because they want us to listen to Dan and Daddy.
If you have to pick your side between Sutton and between Dan and Sutton, who was Sutton? No question.
No, but can Sutton govern, or can he just look hot and deliver bad news well?
Oh, no, I'm not saying to take over.
Like, I don't know. I'd need to know the criteria and why I'm picking the other.
Husband.
Like, if it's just hotness, like if it's just objectification, then obviously Sutton.
Yeah.
But if it's anything else, I don't know enough about the man's credentials.
Okay, maybe this is a sign we should wait for more information.
I just want it noted that I said something's stinky, something's fishy, something's going on. It's not good. I just want it noted, okay?
Time will reveal all, we hope.
Oh, we did want to briefly touch on what's happening with Ellen. We did speak about it a few weeks ago, and obviously there's now – it just seems to keep getting worse. So initially it was just she's mean, and then a few staffers came out and said actually everyone who works on the show is kind of rubbish. Like there's a lot of the top-end executive producing team that are pretty awful. And then it's gone further and there's been sexual misconduct allegations, and now the entire show is being investigated by Warner Brothers. And this whole time, I've kind of been going, where are all the A-listers that Ellen is always like she's kind of known. She took that famous selfie, at the Oscars with all her A-list best buddies.
She is generally, unless you're Dakota Johnson, she is a soft landing for a celebrity. I mean, everyone from Lizzo to Tay-Tay to Madge to everyone, Bradley Cooper. I mean, they come onto her show and get love, 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 love.
I know.
And
no one has stuck. Where's Oprah? Where is Oprah? Show me the receipts. Has she been texting her in private? Has she – because those two obviously were rivals but then came to be friends.
Yes.
And if anyone can soothe the masses of, hate and hysteria, it's one Oprah Winfrey. Silence.
Well, I suppose, but I think the problem is at the moment, the spotlight's really on her. I mean, it's on her hugely, of course, but the actual allegations are specifically about her executive. So I guess if you're Oprah, you don't want to come out and say, there's nothing to see here, and then find out that there was an incredibly abusive executive. So
well, as
you've got to be
Katy Perry
cautious.
learned yesterday, Katy Perry's come forward, one of the only ones, and
she say?
She said, I can only speak to my experience, but I've always been treated very kindly and well on the Ellen show, and she's bought, raised money and bought light and acceptance to many households, I love you, my friend. And she's been slammed obviously, and people just said, Katie, you should have stopped at I can't speak to other people's experience. People are pointing out her privilege, that she's a super uber famous person, and of course Ellen was nice to her. The allegations are about staffers and underlings who aren't considered as important as Ellen. Like, she's really been squashed. Kevin Hart has also said, everyone's being really hateful. She's amazing, da-da-da. So they're the two main kind of big famous people, the only. And her wife kind of, but yeah.
Oh, no, her wife did a whole I stand with Ellen DeGeneres hashtag, like put the tile on Instagram, and yeah.
That was weird.
Well, I mean, of course you stand with her, Portia. You're legally obliged
married
to till death do you part.
But that felt for me like putting the tile up was like everyone's been doing that for Black Lives Matter, and it just feels like aligning what Ellen's going through with, you know, the true reason we put tiles up and the reason we do the online activism felt a bit of a stretch. I mean, because if Ellen didn't work another day ever again, if she went away and recoup, you know, she would be fine.
She'd be fine, and her children and her grandchildren. Not that there are any of those at the moment, but yeah.
But isn't it interesting the stacks on, like, because there's not much else going on, and this has happened during this pandemic. Everyone is just looking for something to sink their teeth into, and Ellen happens to be the one juicy chicken that it's happening to.
The dark side of the pandemic fame. You can rise so quickly, but there's a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands, and Twitter is so febrile. Click, 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 click.
Well, look, I do want to give some people something positive to take away from the pod. I have obviously kind of dedicated myself to, whenever I'm not working or with the baby or doing all the other things, I do manage to fit in a lot of telly, mainly because I don't sleep. And I came across these amazing short docos, and I wanted to let everyone know about them because I do like to give you things to watch and give homework. And you need to watch them too, Michael Lucas, because you haven't watched them yet.
No.
So the first one is called the Claudia Kishi Club. Now, those of you astute Emsolation listeners will know who Claudia Kishi is. Say it out loud. Babysitter's Club. That's right, guys. Everyone in their cars who knew, all the women and possibly gay men who read Babysitter's Club knew Babysitter's Club.
Astute listeners, and also listeners who were children in the 90s.
No.
80s.
You didn't know who Claudia Kishi was?
No, I know. I didn't know. It's true. Weirdly, Babysitter...
Baby Clitters Club, that's a different show. That is a different show altogether. Don't Google image that.
Babysitter's Club, for some reason, that and Sweet Valley High just passed me by. I can't explain it.
Sweet Valley High. Oh, my God, Jessica and Elizabeth. And one was the slutty twin and one was the bookish twin. Oh, my God, Sweet Valley High. So many horrible tropes, so bad. But I did read a lot of them. So trashy. It's kind of the natural progression from Babysitter's Club is the Sweet Valley High girls. But the Babysitter's Club was so amazing because it was kind of, Claudia Kishi was the first Asian character to be fully realised and not just a bunch of horrible stereotypes.
Yeah.
And a lot of, she was my favourite character mainly because she wore crazy earrings and wore really bright outfits. And there were some problematic things like that she was always described as having almond eyes. And I think that was the, you know.
Yes, there's something. It does feel a little uncomfortable, doesn't it?
There's a few uncomfortable things, but, you know, by and large.
Put it in context.
A lot of Asian girls, Asian American girls, Asian Australian girls, Asian English girls felt represented for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, she was really cool, and she also wasn't like the traditional perfect Asian child she was artistic. She loved art and she hated maths and science, and she wore big side ponytails and groovy scrunched down socks. And I was drawn to her character because she was just, I never even really realised that she was Asian, you know, until, I don't know, because they never really explicitly said it. And she had a really close relationship with her grandmother. And so this doco kind of interviews a bunch of kind of amazing Asian American creatives, and they just talk about how much of an impact Claudia Kishi had on them. And it goes for like 20 minutes and is so wholesome and so lovely, and everyone should watch it who read The Babysitter's Club.
I've got one other Asian character of the 1980s that I would really want to check in on. Do you remember Short Round from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? He was also in The Goonies.
The Goonies.
Now, I don't think he's such a triumph for representation because he was kind of like the gadget gizmo whiz kid. But I swear, every kid of the 80s identified with him and this whole notion of you could be best friends with Indiana Jones and go on adventures with him and all that sort of stuff. And he was, in my world, a superstar. And I don't know what happened to that guy.
We should check in on him.
Two iconic films, and then, as far as I know, out. And, you know, go out while you're on top.
While you're on top, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, you and I are always drawn to those characters. And this is why then the doco that I watched 2 days ago, everyone has to go and watch this straight away. You have to leave this podcast recording and go and watch it. It's called Speed Cubers. It is the most wholesome thing. It is the most divine, glorious 40 minutes. It's directed by, I think it's Soo Kim, and it explores the world of competitive speed cubers. But I'm going to
need you to explain to me what speed cubing is.
So Rubik's Cubes, obviously.
Yeah.
So these guys are the top of the top. They go so fast that their hands are blurred. Like they solve cubes in 6 seconds. Like the world record is for a 3x3. I know all the language now, guys. Like the 3x3 world record is like something in the 5s, and then they do 4x4s, 5x5s, and they have all these categories. And for the last 10 years, the world champion has been an Aussie guy, Felix Zemdegs. And he, Australia. Yes. And I just want to briefly talk about like the patrons and the competitors of the Speed Cubing Championships are people we would have been friends with at high school. That's how I'm going to gently put this. Just so amazing. Just the most pinnacle of nerdom.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. It was gorgeous to watch. It was so amazing. These guys all have team tracksuits on. It's the closest any of them are going to get to sport. I 100% stand behind that statement. And
although
so
there would be a sort of a physical dexterity element to it. I mean,
their fingers and their wrists for sure, but there's a lot of sitting when you're working on a Rubik's Cube. But also, those guys just walk around clacking the whole time. The cubers never don't have cubes in their hand. Like they'll be driving on a bus at school, in a restaurant. They're always clacking. So we meet Felix Zemdegs, and then we meet Max Parks. And these two, like Max is basically his usurper. Max Parks is up and coming and is smashing through all of Felix's world records. But the most beautiful thing, and this is what the doco focuses on, is the friendship between them, because Max has autism and he's this big, tall Asian American guy. He's like 6'4", he's 17 now, but he's like an 8-year-old really in terms of development. And Felix was Max's hero. He was absolute hero, and the first person he ever had the confidence to ask for an autograph, and the first person he ever pointed at, which is a big deal for autistic kids. And his parents got him into cubing to help him with his fine motor skills, but then they turned out to be this freak at it. And then Max is with Felix at competitions and smashing Felix. But the thing is, Felix congratulates him and says, "I'm proud of you," after he's beaten him. And after he smashed his world record, and every time he does it, even because Max lives in America, every time he does it, Felix will FaceTime him and go, "Congratulations, I'm so proud of you," even though he's just beaten Felix's record.
Oh, that's sportsmanship at its finest.
It's just
heartwarming.
So
all these
really
nourishing
is.
things.
And when they go to dinner, like at a competition, they're all out for dinner, and he makes sure that Max eats his vegetables because Felix is the only person Max listens to. It's
inspirational.
The most wholesome. And then
although typically I am thinking do you think there would be a crossover skill between being an amazing cuber and being good in bed, or do you think that they're mutually exclusive?
I don't know. I mean, you're very good with your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to work hard. So I want to interview Felix because I think he's based in Melbourne.
Maybe don't ask him that question.
I'll just say it's from you. Michael, my co-host, wants to know, does your dap to fingertips translate to the bedroom?
If you feel weird about this, he also put the same question to Jocks on Frillo. So you're in good company.
But it's just so wholesome. And it's 40 minutes. And if you're struggling to concentrate as I am, I can't watch movies at the moment. I have to watch television series.
I know. I get it. I'm also desperate to understand how your algorithms work. I mean, I know you watch a lot of things, but how do you end up? Like, I've not heard of these docos, short docos on Netflix. You have gone to the outer reaches of the Netflix galaxy.
I think because I do like watching docos. I'm addicted to passion. So I'll watch a doco on an apple farmer if he's the most passionate apple farmer in the world, and he's named all his kids apple, and his home is decorated with apples. And it doesn't matter what the subject is. The nicher and more obsessed the person, the more on board I am.
Yeah.
So Netflix has figured that out, because I get sent things from people who are chasing aliens. The Flat Earther documentary came to me as soon as it was released. Netflix knows that I have a quirk for freaks.
They're like, she likes drag queens, passionate nerds, and buff Vikings. Just send that all to her.
That's it. And what a Skype. range.
I do think there's a passionate nerd element to like Drag Race for sure.
100%. Anything I can, of course. There's so many stats. It's my sport. Like as much as other people know about fantasy football, I have fantasy Drag Race. I belong to Facebook groups. We talk about who would make the ultimate, series. We talk about the ultimate hosts and judges, and oh my God, I need to do a whole Drag Race podcast with someone else because that is the one thing you and I don't have the same passion level on is Drag Race.
I really do feel like I'm letting you down. Like I think when we tally up the greatest failings of my friendship, I think it's pretty much at the top. Just didn't get into Drag Race enough. Although I would happily watch it with you, but I'm never going to be as fired up. I don't think.
No, you won't. You won't. I'm going to give everyone a book to read as well, which I'm halfway through and I'm loving. Phosphorescence by Julia Baird on awe, wonder, and things that sustain you when the world goes dark. I mean, if that's not a front cover, that doesn't give you...
This is non-fiction.
Non-fiction by Julia Baird. It kind of encourages you. She's had cancer a number of times. She's been close to death a number of times. Extraordinary Australian journalist and writer. And she, phosphorescence, I mean, it's the kind of glow algae within the ocean. Like that really not explained it well.
Yes, no. Thank you for your scientific analysis. Yes.
It's a scientific phenomenon.
Yeah.
And she's kind of started chasing it, but also found ways to tie it into people finding the light within themselves, like finding a way to light the dark. It's really, really good. I'm loving it. Phosphorescence. What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is a novel. It's called The Bus on Thursday. It's Australian. It's by Shirley Barrett, and it's about sort of a young late 20s teacher who gets breast cancer and then takes a job in a remote town of like 250 people where there's only one teacher. And it's the tone of it. It's so, I'm going to describe it, in fact, because the blurb describes it as Bridget Jones meets The Exorcist meets Twin Peaks. And it's,
wow.
Yeah, I know. It's savagely funny. And you might be put off by thinking, oh, do I want to read about someone with breast cancer at the moment? But it's so acerbic and so sort of surprising. And I'm devouring it.
Oh, before I go, one of my all-time favourite comedies is on SBS On Demand, Difficult People.
Oh, yes. Billy Eichner.
I cannot, if you just want something, it is black. The comedy is really dark. But it's so good. And it's one of the bravest comedies I think that's ever been written. They go there. Oh my God. All right. Well, hopefully that sustained you. We've given you plenty to think about. Michael, go and watch Speed Cubers so we can talk about it.
I will.
Thank you. Good. And we'll chat later in the week.
Indeed. All right.
Oh, will we? Will we?
No,
What day
we
is it
won't
today?
because it's
Chat next week.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
This is Emsolation.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Hey, I've got a bit of homework for you. Our podcast is growing in numbers and it's so good to see. And the way that my stuff usually gets up and out there and big is because of word of mouth, because of my community. Because people like me, short brown hair, tattoos, left-leaning, not a size 8, a lot of opinions, generally only get ahead when they find a like-minded community to champion them, and that's you. So I was hoping today you could post about Emsolation on your social media. And it doesn't matter how big or small your following is. Look, if you've got 1 million followers, great. But I would love for you to tag the Emsolation podcast, and I would love for you to take a photo of yourself where you're listening or just anything to do with us. Tag us and recommend us, because that helps. Every little bit helps. And I always prefer it to come from the mouths of the people I care about, you guys, my community. If you don't like the podcast and you don't want to spread the word, fine, but maybe just keep that to yourself. And what are you doing here? Why are you listening? Nah, that wouldn't be the case. So I'm looking forward to getting tagged in a lot of Emsolation recommendation posts. Can't wait to see how creative you get. And if you're in Melbourne, honestly, what else are you doing? Maybe you could do a TikTok to one of them. I don't know. But the Emsolation recommendations need to be flowing. That's what I want to see. This is going to buoy me. It's going to bring me up in this time. But that's it. Thank you for being here. Look after yourselves. Have a nice weekend. Maybe do some pottering in the garden. I don't know. Find something. I've been doing a lot of oil pasteling. I've really been enjoying that. I've been, painting my nails. I've been spray painting everything. just find little things that make you happy. Just even if it's just washing your hair, just feel your fingertips on your scalp. Just give yourself a few minutes. And we'll chat soon. Bye.